is to implement a Flexbox design. And our objective, that is what we're trying to get out of this, is a page about our favorite animal that has 3 images that display in a row, side by side, in a laptop, and stack one on top of the other in a phone. So the first thing we're going to do is immerse ourselves in the specs for the project, the paragraph introduction, 3 images, preferably your own. So, and it's got to be about a favorite animal. So if you've got some fish that you've been documenting with your camera, or a dog or cat or horse or ducks, whatever you've got, or you can be like me and come up with some images that are Creative Commons and that you can use with permission. In any event, you gather the pictures, you present them properly with figure and fig caption tags. These are things we've gone over in other videos. And then we get to the focus of the project, which is to create Flexbox divs. And these divs will allow us to adapt our design to any browsing environment, any viewport. And of course, we'll submit this as an HTML link. So to get started, I've gone ahead and set up my code editor. Let me get rid of all the code I was goofing around with. It's blank, but I've saved it as flexbox.html. That way, when I paste code in here, I'll get that helpful color coding that code editors provide. Next stop is, as usual, our friends and close friends at CS at W3 Schools. Now, I searched for Flexbox and found all kinds of different options and identified that the option I want is the one that wraps. Oddly enough, you can have a Flexbox that doesn't wrap, but it just squishes, but that's kind of defeats the purpose. So I found one that wraps. I'm in the try it yourself window where I prototype things, and this is just what I want. Someone's looking at this in a high quality 480 pixel wide smartphone. They're going to see 3 columns. A low budget 320 pixel wide smartphone, they're going to see 2. And as I adjust the settings here, the details will change, but the concept's working. I know I want 3 images, so I'm going to clean this up and make it just 3 so I can experiment with them. I'm going to want images that are, say, 320 pixels wide and maybe space height. I can't talk and type at the same time. Maybe 300 pixels high. Let's see how that looks. Well, it's wrapping here, it's 2 here, and it's 3 here. So that's pretty much what I want. I can do some other tweaking. Anything else I need to set up before we copy and paste? I think this is enough to basically prototype what we need. I don't need that this massive font size here. So I'm going to get rid of that and test it. Okay, so far so good. So let me grab this code and put it into my code editor. And as promised, the code editor is giving me color coding, so I know if I missed something, something will turn red. Background, there is no such thing as background Excel. So anyway, there it is. So everything's working here. Let me save this and take a look at how this looks in a browser. Here I am in Chrome, and I'll use Chrome's inspect feature to take a look at how this looks in maybe an iPhone's okay. So far, so good. I mean, this is not exactly the way I want this to display, but we can tweak it. Now, I'm going to experiment with something, and I'm going to show you this. Not sure this will make a difference or not. This is one of those things that sometimes you need it and sometimes you don't. I'm going to go back to w3schools.com, and I'm going to look up the scale meta tag. The scale meta tag forces phone browsers to not shrink content to fit. And I don't think that's an issue here, but it's not going to hurt. So that's something that you add to the head element. Let me just make sure it didn't hurt anything. Some old phones don't handle content so well without that. Let me see if that made any difference, better or worse, in our preview here. I don't expect it to. Oh, actually it did. That's interesting. It forced, for the iPhone 6, it forced everything into a single column instead of trying to squeeze more in than really should fit in a 320 or even a 375 pixel wide viewport. So that was something worth doing. It's something that it's often a good troubleshooting trick, and you can review that part of the video if you want to get a closer look at it and read the documentation at W3 Schools. Now we're ready to start customizing this with our own content. So the first thing that I might do is retitle the page, and my favorite animal. And today that favorite animal, let me see what I picked out now, I can't even remember, was a duck. Okay, so it's my favorite animal of the day is ducks. And here I was assigned to put a paragraph of content. I've got that queued up in Ipsum Lorem. I'll grab a paragraph of that just as a placeholder for design purposes until I actually get on my composer hat and start, or my creative writer hat. So let's see how the page is coming together now. It's coming together. It needs some styling. One thing I would like to do is center those boxes. I'm going to lose the background soon, by the way. So I did a little experimenting, and I found out, or not a little experimenting, a little research at W3 Schools, found out that there is a justify content center parameter that I can use with a Flex container. And so I'm going to add that. And as promised, you know what though, I'm going to test this. Always test. I want to do one more thing too, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. So let me go test this. And we've got the centering down. Now I'm going to make the background for the boxes a little bit more distinguishable. And I'm going to lose the background on the container. Let's see how that looks style-wise. Okay, that's a little more what I want. And then I could actually maybe body tag. Put in a little bit of basic body tagging. Font family, sans serif, font size, maybe 1.2. Rem to make it a little 20% bigger than normal. Line height, always like to boost that. A lot of times double spacing's okay. Gives a nice airy look. There was something else I was going to do here. Oh yeah, you know, text align, you can overdo it, but in this particular project, I think centering might work. And then finally, let me constrain the width of the body a little bit, so we'll make it with maybe 90%. Let's see how that works. Then we've got to do a margin auto to center that. Okay, so now the page is pretty much set up. Of course, I want to get rid of the this little tip. And it's time to start putting my images together. Now I know that the specs called for each image to be inside a figure and a fig caption tag. So let me do the figure, and then inside of that the fig caption, and then inside the figure I'm going to have an image tag. And let me go get some content to populate that. So here I found a nice picture of a duck. It's available from Wikimedia Commons. I have verified that it's fine to use this image. So here are the rules. I can do all that stuff with it. I won't read them out loud, but I will follow them. This image is supposed to be credited to Alan Carpenter. You can get the code for that just by clicking here. That's a lot about Alan Carpenter, but maybe I'll at least make sure that I give him credit. Alan, where'd you go? Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna copy that and make sure that I include that in the figure caption. And also I'm going to have a description of what this is. A male mallard duck. And now I need to get the image source. So a 320 pixel size is good for my design. I could download this into my own site and upload it into my host, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and link to the image at Wikipedia, because I think it's going to be pretty secure there. And I don't always do an alt tag, to be perfectly honest, but I should. So I'm going to put a little more detail there. So let's see how this is coming together. Jump in and preview. That was a lot of work before previewing, but it looks close. Now I can start doing some tweaking. So I don't want anywhere near as much padding as I've set up. Where is my padding? Well, margin. Oh, let's see. I've got a 320 pixel image. I could change these. Let me make sure that my image is actually displaying at 320 pixels. See if that makes a difference. No, it's still that space there. Width. What's that width? 100 pixels. That's a remnant from something I inherited. I should clean that up. 320 pixels, and the image was 320 pixels. Well, let me do a little experimenting here. Maybe make this much wider. Well, now everything fits. There's still some odd... I don't want to get rid of the... Something is causing some padding. No, everything fits, but I need some I need some spacing. So now you get to do some troubleshooting with me. What happens if I make this smaller and then go back to my 320 and my margin at least 5 pixels in between images. This is not at all uncommon that you want to do some trial and error with your first picture to get everything to fit right. Still a little confused by all that spacing on the right. Let me inspect this in Chrome and get a little help here. So for this kind of inspection, I just want to go to responsive mode and maybe make it pretty wide. Okay, so what is going on with this? The image is 280, okay. What's this part? The font is large. Container is 8. Okay, the fig caption shouldn't be throwing anything too far off. Let's see what is causing all this. Yeah, I'll get rid of the line height for now. I'm going to start out by getting rid of that width style definition and see if that affects anything. That was not a help. Okay. The font size, the text align. I don't think so. Okay. You're probably shouting the solution to this into the video right now. And if so, I'm listening. I think I'm going to make the just noticing that the fig caption is too big. Let's make that font size 0.8 rem. And line height, just 1. We don't need that. Well, that solved a problem, but not the problem. I'm looking at that picture. I'm looking at the box. Okay, let me try making the boxes much wider and see what that does. Well, that solves everything. Well, what is with all that? What's accountable for all that padding? I mean, I could just say, okay, problem solved. I don't need to know why. And sometimes that's the way it goes. I just made the box bigger. A 400 pixel wide box. Where's all that spacing coming from? Let me lose this for a second. I don't know, it needs that space and I'm not sure why. I'll probably figure it out between now and when I see you in person, but this is a pretty good start. I think I've got one picture in, I've got a caption that works, I can tweak things, just go back to some of the stuff I had here. Okay, let me just make sure that this one thing I have to make sure works is that this is going to work in phones. So there it is in iPhone 5. Be nicer if it was a little better centered. In iPhone 6 looks good. For my upscale followers, an iPhone 10 looks good. I think we're close enough. So I'll give you one last look at my code. I'll sign out. I'll let you share your insights and experiences trying this. Here's the code. I put in the viewport meta tag. That seemed to help. I've got display flex. That's kind of basic. The flex wrap, you have to turn on wrap. That's not intuitive. The justify content centering, put the content in the middle of the page, and so left the spaces on the side. I like that. The container itself, I've got the light gray background. I could do other tweaks like a border in gray solid. Does that give a little bit more shape? Yeah, it's your call. Text align center, the margins, 5 pixels. That's, they're pretty close to each other. I don't know, all this stuff trial and error, what sizes, what do I want, a little more spacing between them? Maybe that'll make it look better in a phone. That's where trial and error comes in. I'm not saying that you shouldn't use math in your calculator and try and make all the values turn out right so the picture, 320 pixel picture fits into a 400 pixel box. You know what? I got to go back and take one last look at that picture. Okay, we will close this video out with the mystery of why I needed to make that box so much bigger than 320 pixels to have the image fit in it right. And there's a rational explanation somewhere, but as far as I've gotten, I've solved it with trial and error, and we'll leave it at that for now. Okay, so let me know how this works for you.